So if you don't know me, my name's Caleb Walden. I'm a youth pastor here. If it's your first time here, I'm super glad you're here. I would love to talk to you after, so come find me. Just tell me your name, introduce yourself to me. We're about to start a series on family here at Shepherd Youth. But before we get into the teaching, I just want to introduce you to some of our Shepherd Youth staff. I want to introduce you to some of our families. So I have some pictures. First picture I have is of Mike. This is Mike's family. So some really cool stuff. Mike, Franny, Celeste, and this guy right here, his name is Time. And Mike, he's not actually Mike's biological son. Mike and Franny have been working really hard it feels like it's been a couple years now to be able to foster and adopt. And just a couple weeks ago, he's getting to join their family right now, and he's gonna have a home with some of the greatest parents in the world. Isn't that awesome? Come on. Man, dude, as a church, that's what we're all about. I think it's in James. Pure religion in God's eyes is caring for orphans and widows. And man, Mike he's out here trying to love people. He's out here trying to love people. And Time, man, he's going to be blessed to be in that home. It makes me happy. Mike sets an example for all of us when we have families one day. And I got another picture. I think next is Noelani. Noelani's going to be speaking the last weekend. This is her family. She's going to be speaking on the power of how to be a part of change and healing in your family. And I've heard some of her story, her parents' story. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be super good. Next, I think I have Adriana. Yeah. Look at her. Look at the sass in her face. She's owning the moment on the camera. So that's Adri and her sister. And when Adri's preaching, she's going to be preaching on sibling rivalry and how do you celebrate your siblings rather than being jealous of them or competing with them. Next, I've got Dusty. Look at that. They're representing their Chiefs gear. Dusty's family, Amy, Asher, Silas. And then I have a picture of Dusty when he was a kid. Look at that. That's Dusty as a kid. He looks just like Silas makes that face. And it freaks me out when I'm like, oh my goodness, that could be Silas. And then one more note. Look at his dad's mustache. I don't know if you know this, but about a week ago, I tried to grow a mustache myself, and I still have it. So it didn't really work because you probably can't even see it. But one day, when I can grow a mustache like that, I'm preaching with a mustache. So get ready. And then I've got a picture of my family. Can you see my face? That must be the first roller coaster I went on because I'm scared out of my mind. But this is my family, my two sisters, my parents. I have one more picture of my family, and I have brothers now. I grew up with all sisters. I've got brothers now, so we were ziplining. You should go ziplining with your family. It's fun. But there you go. There's not all of our families, but some of our families, and I just wanted to do that so that as we go through this series, when we talk about our families, you feel like you know us a little bit better, and you have a picture of where we come from. And so there you go. I hope you feel like you know us better. And here's the deal. You all already know this, but we all come from families. No matter how messy your family may feel, you're from a family. We're all from families. And I love my family. I love my family with all of my heart. They know that I love them. I know that they love me. But sometimes in my family, I think love is so assumed that it's not always acted out in everyday life. And I would say this is probably mostly true on my part, and I think it's true for a lot of our families. Love is so expected that it's not always acted out in the little details of life. What I mean by this is, if our brother or sisters, you got brothers or sisters, if they date somebody and that person hurts them, dude, I'm ready to throw hands. I'm ready to mess you up. You mess with my sibling. You don't do that. That's my family. But then in everyday life, when I'm interacting just at home with my brothers and sisters or with your brothers and sisters, we don't always show them in the way we act and in the way we speak what they should look for in friendships and what they should look for. And we don't serve them the way they should be served in a relationship. So we don't really set an example. For my parents, I would die for my parents. I love my parents. I've punched somebody in the face one time in my life. And I'm not telling you to ever do it, but why did I do it? Because they were talking about my mom. You don't talk about my mom, right? If somebody talks about your mom, you got to stop. If you mess with my parents, I'm going to defend them. I'm going to have their back. I'll die for them. But while I'll do that for my mom, then I go home and my mom's like, hey, Caleb, can you run this errand for me real quick? And I'm like, Mom, I'm busy. I don't have time. I'm trying to hang out with people. I don't have time to do that right now. Sometimes in our families, love is so assumed that it's not always acted out in everyday life. Others of you in here, when you hear me say, oh, I love my family is great, you're like, huh. I love some of my family members, but Caleb, honestly, why would I love my family when they don't really pay any attention to me? Like, I try to be good, I try to do things right, but my brothers and sisters, like, they get all the attention. My parents, it's like I don't even feel loved. Caleb, why would I love my family when I'd rather be in a family like my friends? Caleb, why would I love my family when my family has caused more hurt in my life than anybody else? My mom grew up in a family like that. I'm gonna get pretty heavy here. And I know it's pretty soon in the sermon to get heavy, but just prepare yourselves. My mom, her family, they took care of her, but they didn't, they gave her food, they gave her a house to live in, but there was no love in her family. My mom never heard the words "I love you" from her family. They didn't celebrate birthdays. You're not ready for this one. They didn't celebrate Christmas growing up. And one time, this is super real, my mom was talking to her mom, and her mom literally told her, "Oh yeah, if I knew that abortion was a thing when I was pregnant with you, you wouldn't be here." Not even like, she wasn't even mad, just matter-of-factly, that's just the truth. And some of you, maybe not in those specific details, but you relate to a family life like that, like one that's rough, one that was weird, one that didn't make sense, which is why we're calling this series, The People We Love to Hate. Because family, they're so close to you, and they're supposed to be there for you, so when they hurt you, it hurts bad. And at the same time, we're with them so much that it can be hard to love them, like genuinely love them in everyday life. But I want to tell you today, I want to tell you as we start our series, that your family is worth learning to love. Your family is worth learning to love. Why? This is on your notes. First off, why is your family worth learning to love? Because by loving your family, by family loving each other, you create a relaxed environment. You should be able to go home and know that you can be honest, know that you can be real, know that you can relax. Home is supposed to be a place where you can be who you are. Like, you don't have to hide anything. You can bring your emotions out, and you can learn how to work through all these emotions and these feelings we have. Home is supposed to be a place where we can ask questions and learn how to think right. Home is a relaxed environment to learn and to grow. I remember the first time I got dumped. I went to Heritage Christian School, so if you might be able to picture it if you go there, and if you can't, I'll try to describe it well enough. But I'm sitting in English class, and I get a text from the girl I'm dating, and she's like, "Hey, we need to talk." And I'm like, "Oh no." So I'm sitting next to my boy. I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "No, dude, no, she doesn't. She got to talk about something. She doesn't mean that." But I leave her on red because I'm like, I'm not answering that. Like, come on, you better give me some more info. So I leave her on red. 5 minutes later, I get another text. "Hey, can we talk in my car so that we have a little more privacy?" And I'm like, and I show my boy again. He's like, "You're done, bro." He's like, "I'm sorry, but you're done." And I'm like, "Oh man." So I get out. It's lunchtime. I go to her car. I sit in there, and she's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, girl?" And then she goes, I don't think this is working out between us." I was like, what's going on? Did I do something? Like, I can change something if you want me to. And she goes, "Well, all you do is you read books and then you talk about them. And I think I want something more in our relationship." And I was like, "Dang, girl, I think I could change it." She was like, "No, it's okay." And so I was like, and then I kind of, got right. I was like, "Hey, well, it was really nice dating you. I hope we can be friends." And then I tried to move on the rest of my day, pretending like I was okay. But let's be real. I kind of got dumped because I was boring. That's basically, she's like, you're kind of boring. I don't want to date you anymore. So I had to go the rest of the day, the rest of the school day, with everybody figuring out, people looking at me, people asking, "Hey, are you okay?" And I tried to be cool. I tried to be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, bro. It's not a big deal." But really inside, I kind of felt like a loser. I kind of felt like everybody's having this like pity on me that I didn't want. And I just wanted to get home. Because I knew once I got home, I'd be able to go through the door. My mom would say, "How was your day?" And I could be honest. I could tell her how I feel. And I knew my mom would buy me ice cream, and I would feel better. Because home's a place where you can relax, where you can be real. And I want to remind you today that while home is a safe place for you and a relaxed environment for you, it's also supposed to be that kind of environment for your family, for your siblings, for your parents. And most of your parents, hey, you might have a Phil Dunphy dad. He might be super awkward and he embarrasses you and you don't get along great, but most of you have really good parents. Most of your parents, they're working 50 plus hours a week to put a roof over your head, to keep food on the table. And some of them are taking care of your little siblings, which is probably harder than some jobs. And when we come home from school and then they come home from work after working so many hours and we give them an attitude, we don't do what they've asked us to do, we're making their day longer. Ephesians 6:1 says, honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. The promise is found in Exodus 20:12. It says, honor your father and mother that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God has given you. Saying if you honor your parents, you'll live a long and good life. It's a promise. And I read this and I was like, honor. Like who says, mother and father, I would like to honor you. Nobody says that anymore. So I'm like, what does this word honor mean? So I looked it up. And the Greek word Paul uses for honor is tomeo. Turn to your neighbor and say tomeo. It sounds like tomato to me, tomato, but without the T. So this Greek word tomeo actually means to set a high value on, but also to assist, to help. And it is part of our responsibility as family members to create a relaxed environment for our parents, for our siblings, when they come home after long days by thanking them, by cleaning our room, by doing the dishes, by saying, I love you. I'm telling you, if your relationship with your parents is a little bit off right now, and you guys just you've been clashing a little bit, if you want to change it, take a second to get some real gratitude, like genuine gratitude in your heart by thinking about everything your parents do for you. And then go tell them, oh my goodness, mom, dad, you do so much for me. You do so much for me. Thank you so much for everything you've done in my life. I guarantee you, your mom might cry, and you'll probably change your relationship going forward if you just appreciate your parents. Home is a relaxed environment. That's why you create that when you love your family. That's why family's worth learning to love. Secondly, family's worth learning to love because the way you love your family gives them a picture of God. The way you love your family gives them a picture of God. For those of you who maybe your family life wasn't great, like somebody hurt you, somebody wronged you, somebody wasn't the kind of parent or sibling they should have been, the way you love them, that might be the only picture of God they ever get in their life. If you remember my mom's story from earlier, I heard all that about my mom growing up, but then a couple years ago, my grandma was at the end of her life, couldn't take care of herself at all, and my mom starts flying out to Missouri, from California to Missouri. She flies out there once or twice a month just to because my grandma didn't have the kind of money to have somebody come and take care of her, and she couldn't get up out of bed anymore. So my mom would fly out there, clean up my grandma's whole entire house. She would make her food. She would pay all of the bills that were unpaid and in the mailbox. She would set all this stuff up. And why? Why, after the kind of childhood she had, would she do that for her mom? Because she wanted to give her mom a picture of God's love for her. Some of you, you're going to lead your family into a relationship with God by the way that you love them, or at least a better one. God tells us in John 13:35 that it's by the way we love. That's how people know that we're disciples. By loving our family, we create that relaxed environment. We give them a picture of God. So the question is, how do we love well? How do you have a good family? And there's an amazing passage, a Bible verse that I want to read with you guys. It's Deuteronomy 6:4-9. It's on your notes. It should be on the screen, but read it with me. This is the instructional on how to have an amazing family. If you want a good family, listen to this. Deuteronomy 6:4-9. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength. These commandments that I give to you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on your doorframes of your houses and on your gates. This dude's saying, hey, you want a good family? Love God with everything that you have. And it's so important for you to remember this, that he says, write it everywhere. Wear bracelets, wear things on your head, wear necklaces, put it on your walls. Just don't forget to love God with everything, because that's the key to a great family. And Jesus adds to this. See if you catch what Jesus adds. Jesus says, Luke 10:27, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. Here's the main thing that I think these verses are teaching. These verses are saying, you want to love your family? You want to love your family? Love them more by loving them less than God. That got messed up on your notes, but I want you to write that down. Please write that down. Love your family more by loving them less than God. Hey, that point, if you understand it, will change your life. Even if for the next 10 minutes, I preach a boring, bad sermon on this point, I want you to remember it and think about it, because I promise you it's life-changing. Love your family more by loving them less than God. This verse doesn't say, hey, you want a good family? Love your mom and dad with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind. It doesn't say, hey, you want a good family in the future? Then go find this beautiful girl or this amazing guy and love that girl or guy with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. It doesn't say that. It says, hey, you want a good family? Love who? Who do you love? You love God with everything that you are. And it kind of seems backwards, doesn't it? Like, I want to love my family, so shouldn't I make them my number one priority? But if you do that, when you make your family your everything, you put them in the place of God. Your soul, as a human being created by God, is actually designed to run off of God being number one in your life. And if anything else is there, even your family, then you won't be happy, your life won't be satisfying unless your family's doing good. The condition of your love is controlled by the condition of what you love the most. The condition of your love is controlled by the condition of what you love the most. Let me say that another way. Your love will only be healthy if what you love most is healthy. Hey guys, you've been talking the whole time. I'm trying to focus, so can you guys be quiet, please? Thank you guys. So your love will only be healthy if what you love most is healthy. What this means is that if you care about your family over everything, then unless the condition of your family is good, then you won't be able to love well, because what you love well becomes the source of your love. And that's hard, because no matter how good your family is, there's ups and downs, there's divorces, there's changes, people move, and unless everything is great, unless your family is healthy, that's the only time your love will be healthy, and then you're only able to love during the good times, and that's not love at all. If you care about something else more than God, it throws every other human relationship off. If you care more about making your parents proud than God, you will spend your whole life competing with your siblings rather than celebrating them. If you try to love your family over everything, when they hurt you, you won't be able to forgive them because you'll feel entitled to their love. Like, I've done all this stuff for you, and then you betrayed me. If you love your family over everything, and then you hurt them, you won't be able to forgive yourself. Some of you think, like, hey, one day I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find this guy or girl, I'm gonna love them with everything, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna have this happy marriage and family, and through that person, I'm gonna find that life that I've always wanted. And the reason we believe this is because every song we hear about love, every movie about love, it tells us if you find true love, you find true happiness. But it's a lie. It's a lie. And it's a lie that has caused so many families and relationships to fall apart. Because if you just try to move to another relationship and sweep all your insecurities under the rug of that relationship, at some point they're gonna come back out. That person's not God. That person can't heal you. They're just a person. And once the infatuation goes away, someone ends up heartbroken. People are not a good foundation for love. People are supposed to be loved, but they cannot be your source of love. But on the other hand, if you care about God over everything, if God is who you live for and who you love and who you want to please, then the condition of your love will be controlled by the condition of God. So if God is good, hey, you're good. If God is full of love, you'll be full of love. If God's love is consistent through the ups and through the downs, then your love can be consistent through the ups and the downs. And let me tell you something about God. He never changes. God is always the same. God always loves you. God always forgives you. God always has the best guidance for life. And by loving God over everything, you have a foundation on which to build your lives, on which to build your families, on which to build your relationships. Once you love God more than everything, it actually sets you free to love others better. When you care more about making God proud rather than your parents, you'll go to God, and I want to say this over, because this is true of every single one of you. If you were to ask God, God, are you proud of me? Am I doing enough? God would say, yes. I'm proud of you. I love you. You're my son. You're my daughter. And I'm not proud of you for anything you did, but just for who you are. I just love you for who you are. And when you know that God just loves you for you, it sets you free to love others. And when you love God over everything, and you see that Jesus, knowing that he was going to go to a cross and be tortured and crucified, and knowing all the worst things you would ever do, all the worst sins you'll ever commit, said, it's okay. I'm going to the cross to pay for forgiveness for all of them. And you see that he did that for you. It sets you free to forgive your family and your friends, no matter how much they've hurt you. And when you see that Jesus, knowing that he was going to the cross, said, God, not my will be done, not my will, but your will be done. It sets you free to obey your parents, to obey God's will. And if you love God over everything, it sets you free to look for a future spouse, not for what they can give to you, not for how they can make you feel, but just for who they are and how they love Jesus. Family is worth learning to love. And you love your family more by loving them less than God. When your relationship with God is right, all the other relationships will be right. So can I be super real with you? I always try to be honest, but this is the part of a sermon when I come to church that I go, okay, that all sounded good. Like logically, I can even understand it. I can understand why loving God would help all those relationships. That makes sense. But I go, okay, how do you do it? Like, I feel like when I go to church, so many people, they give all this like spiritual stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but how do I do it in my life? And I really, really wish that I had, 3 easy steps to loving your family well, and I could go, here's 1, 2, 3, go on your way and have a great life with your family. I just don't think that exists. But I do have a story. And I want to share this story with you, and it feels like the most personal thing I've ever shared. I don't know why necessarily, but it's very personal to me, and I hope that by hearing my story, it sets you free to learn how to love God a little bit better. So I was sitting over here at Pete's. You know where the new Whole Foods is over here? How they're building all that stuff? So I'm sitting over there at Pete's Coffee, and I'm reading my Bible. I'm having my quiet time with God, because I'm a preacher. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm with God, and I'm not getting anything. I'm bored. I feel lonely. I feel depressed. And I kind of get mad about it, because I get up, I go to my car, I throw all my stuff in my car, and then I just go on this walk, and I'm venting to God. I'm kind of throwing a fit, but I'm mad, because I'm like, God, I've heard all the sermons. Hey, there's a God-shaped hole in your heart. God needs to be there and fill it, and then you'll be happy. And I'm like, I'm not happy. God, I thought you're the bread of life. You're the living water. I'll drink you. I'll come to you. I'll never be thirsty again. I'm not feeling that. And I was venting to God. And then finally, this is when I said, God, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. I said, God, if I had a chance to know who I was going to marry and then go take him on a date right now, dude, I would ditch you. But then I said, why? Why do I have such a strong desire for a future spouse, for a girl, and not you? Because I didn't ask for it. And this was just me being honest with God, saying, God, I care about something more than you, but I don't want to. And a lot of you probably relate to me in this. It doesn't have to be like a girl. It could be a girl. It could be a guy. Relationships. It could be friends. It could be school. Like you care more about getting good grades. You care more about sports than God. There's something we all desire and we'd rather spend our time doing and thinking about than God. And for me, this is what it is. So I said, God, why do I have such a strong desire for this and not you? I didn't ask for it. And God just shot back to me and said something. Not verbally, but like I heard it. It was in my head. It was a thought. And I was like, oh, I just knew it was from God. And God said, Caleb, it's because you've idolized a false idea of what a girl could do for you all of your life. On top of that, you think about girls more than me. So I was like, okay, all right, fair. So what do I do? God, what do I do? How do I love you more? And God said, Caleb, get a clear picture of the life that I can give you. And then think about me more. Then he said this. He said, Caleb, I'm a 3-mile-per-hour God. That's slow. It's a quote from a book too. God quoted a book to me. He said, Caleb, I'm a 3-mile-per-hour God. It was a slow, long process that got your soul here. It will be a slow, long process to get your soul to where it needs to be. So I want to tell you as I close that if you want to have a good family, if you want to love them well, you need to love God over everything. And the only way to do that is to see the life that God has for you and then to think about him, to remember his presence. Like think about when you love somebody, when you're crazy about somebody, what do you do? You think about them all the time. You always want to spend time with them, even if it's just doing nothing. You just want to be in their presence. Well, God's presence is here. God's presence is everywhere. Yeah, reading your Bible is great. Praying is great, but you don't need to do those things to be in. You can just remember, like right now, God is here. And if you want to grow in your love for him, you need to remember his presence. You need to think about him. And it will be a slow, long process to get your soul healthy again, but I promise you it's worth it. I have regretted following myself so many times in my life, but I have never regretted following Jesus. And you won't either. So love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. Pray with me. God, I'm thankful that your love is constant. I'm thankful that even when I feel like I don't do good enough, when I'm not enough, I know that you just say, I love you for who you are. God, help me understand that love. Help me love you more so that I can love the world more and help us all do the same. So in your name I pray, amen.